People who literally came back from the dead. What did you see while you were out?
I floated up the operating table and entered the bright light. When I got shot in the stomach by a random guy wreaking havoc in the neighborhood, I was transported to the hospital as soon as it was safe to do so. I was awake but was quickly losing consciousness. They put me on the operating table immediately upon arriving to the hospital. I died there, I'm sure. Because the moment I lost consciousness, I felt myself floating up in the air until I was staring at my own lifeless body. I remember the people around me rushing to revive me, and then it was as if their movements slowed to an almost complete halt. I saw a very bright light outside the operating room. I followed it, still floating. At that time, I was aware of what people said about you shouldn't follow the bright light because that would mean death. But I didn't care. The bright light was so alluring to me that I couldn't do anything but to follow it. So followed it I did. Beyond the light was the most beautiful scene I had ever seen. It was the purest of nature, the luscious green field, the sparkliest river nearby, the clearest sky. I'm talking in extreme because I think the beauty in what I saw wasn't really the picturesque surrounding, but the feeling I had when I saw it. It was unlike any other feeling or emotion I had ever felt in my life. I knew I had to cross the river because there was something really good waiting for me there. What it was, I didn't know, but I was certain, for some reason, that I should cross it. But a presence beside me told me I couldn't cross yet. I never saw who it was. I'm not even sure there was a physical person right there with me. I just felt the presence telling me it wasn't my time to cross yet. I didn't want to go. That place was the most perfect place in existence, and it would be a mistake to leave it. But I didn't have a choice. My next breath I took was a painful one. I was back on the operating table, and everything hurt. I was back to living again.
There was nothing. Then there were hallucinations. When I was young and stupid, I thought to end it all when I got rejected by someone whom I thought I loved. I was out for I don't know how long. I just knew I was brought back to life when I was in the hospital and the doctors were successful in pumping out the sleeping pills from my stomach. I was unconscious during my recovery time in the hospital. I was told it was a couple of days before I woke. During those days, I hallucinated that I was being visited by my grandparents, who were both already passed. I also got visits from other people, some I knew, others I didn't. One of those people was my best friend, who was studying in another state at that time. I also hallucinated about spiderwebs filling the corners of the hospital room. I didn't hate spiders, I was just worried that the web would engulf me for some reason. When I finally woke up, all hallucinations were gone. I died and saw nothing, complete and absolutely nothing. My brain then played tricks on me when I was in a coma.
I didn't see anything when I was dead, but I saw my whole life flash before my eyes before I died. I had an undiagnosed heart condition. I was already in my late 40s when my health took a nosedive one day. I was alone at home, just working on my laptop, when I felt an unbearable pain in my heart. I fell from my chair, clutching my chest on the floor. I felt my heartbeat slowing down, each beat painful. And in a few moments before my heart beat its last, I saw my whole life before me, from childhood to now, all in my POV. I saw my first bruise when I fell as a toddler. I saw the first time I tried an ice cream. The time I left my school project at home. When I went to my prom. When I had to choose a college course. When I had my first girlfriend. When my wife walked down the aisle to me when we got married. When my child was born. I relived them all. Then it was a blank. I woke up in the hospital much later. I am not a religious man, but I consider the journey I had as a spiritual one. Nevertheless, I knew it for what it was, as nothing more than a surge of chemicals in my brain as it was shutting down. Death is a permanent state of nothingness. I was just glad I got a temporary trial period.
I died and was reborn. Nobody believed me when I told my story, and so I never told it again until now. When I was younger, the taxi I was riding was hit by another vehicle. I died on impact. I remember standing in a big white room with seemingly no doors or walls. Someone was beside a desk, and he was the only person there. He asked me whether I wanted to be reborn now or wait until I finished my current life. I chose to be reborn. And so I was reborn. I lived that new life from infancy to adulthood. It was in a different country. I remember going to school and eventually getting a job. I remember getting married and having kids in that life. I remember all the physical pains and emotions that went along with being alive. And then I died again. I remember driving my car after dropping off my kids at school. Then a taxi ran a red light, and I crashed straight into it. When I woke up, I was in the hospital room, alive as my former self before I was reborn. It effed me up for years, looking for a family that I had in my other life. I'm awaiting the day I will permanently expire in this world so I will meet them again.
It was like a monster when you experienced sleep paralysis, only that it was able to get me. For those who have experienced sleep paralysis, you know how it feels. It's scary. For some, there's an unknown entity that's out to get them while they are paralyzed. For others, it's a known entity, perhaps an old lady or a monster. They literally cannot move while these scary entities slowly make their way to them. That's what I felt when I died. I got a severe allergic reaction to chocolate almonds while I was in school. The EpiPen couldn't arrive fast enough. I guess I scared the whole class because seconds after stumbling from my seat, I fell into a deep sleep, which I later found out was me already dead. In this deep sleep, I was aware I was on the classroom floor. My classmates were gone. No one else was there. Then I felt it. There was an entity slowly making its way to me. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I wanted to shout for help at least, but I couldn't even emit a small sound. The entity was a tall dark shadow. I couldn't see its face, if it even had one. I was cold and alone and helpless. It was nearing me. I was still trying to shout, but all I could do was look at it. I was terrified. I would cry if I could do that. And then it was hovering above me, its arms stretched out to touch me. I was trying with all my might to shout for help. Then it touched me. I was finally able to emit a crying sound. Because I was finally awake. My teacher's stricken face was the first thing I saw. My classmates were around me. That was the story of how I learned to always bring my EpiPen with me.
If you liked the story, please give it a thumbs up. Share the video and subscribe for more. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on new videos. Thank you very much.